Hey there race fans, welcome to episode 3.5 of Smack Talk New Zealand Stock Cars. It's great to have you along once again, and the pleasure's ours. Sorry the studio's a bit of a mess, we're the same rough people that started this show, so you wouldn't have it any other way. Now first and foremost, before we start 3.5 and go along to Hughes and Zack out at Harrisville, I need to do a big shout out to Tony Baldwin and his crew. Now he is the driver of the 23A flat chassis out of Auckland, brutal car that one, and also a member of the Auckland Alley Cats that go along to the Peterberry Memorial in Napier every year. Special meeting for Tony and his crew going along to race in the name of Peterberry, and they do Auckland as well as Hawke's Bay and that family proud. So I actually made a mistake on episode 2 saying that it was Shannon Savage getting put high and dry into the wall from Gallop, but it was actually Tony Baldwin, so I got corrected there, and thanks to Tony for doing so. So in tribute to that, here's a couple of pictures of Tony in Alley Cat colours doing Auckland proud. So hope you guys enjoyed the show today, and stick around, we've got lots coming up.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 3.5, a season review on all the major meetings over the country so far. We've got a special guest today with Zack Harris, number 119P stock car. Race for the under 23s, Ken's Cowboys. Also had a few placements at some big meetings around the year. So Zack, tell us a bit about yourself and your car.
Obviously my name's Zack Harris, race 119P. We're running a Holden V6. Terry Healy built the chassis. Quite a strong chassis, new car this season, fresh out of the box. Having a few issues, but we're starting to get there, and hopefully big things to come.
How many motors have you gone through this season, Zack?
Oh, we're up to about 3, I think, 4 I think, yeah, 4. And it's been a bit depressing on that part, but we're going to carry on, eh?
So good. Your team's racing?
Yeah, teams racing's a bit of a buzz, eh? Like, that's sort of where I want to be. I'd rather do a teams race than a normal race. Like, yeah, there's nothing better than going to the end of the straight and putting someone off the end.
Yeah, no doubt.
The 2012-2013 started off with a bang with the annual Challenge Cup between the Nelson Tigers and the Palmerston North Panthers. On this occasion it was the Panthers who cleaned up and took the title home, and big shout out to Kerry Hartwood as well, who suffered a big massive injury, but you're the man and always dedicated to the Tigers and Nelson over those years. We're at Hartley in the Waikato for the TWS Teams Invasion. The Manawatu Steelers were the victors on this occasion, winning the championship. But this team's race between Auckland and the Waikato embodies everything a team's race is about, and the heroics that you see from drivers like Scott Gallop, Scotty Tennant and Bernie Fox as well. So just kick back and enjoy.
Fox in second, first. Oh, he's got it.
It was a massive 52 car field that lined up for qualifying for the prestigious Robin Pratt Memorial. It was an action-packed night, as it always is at the Robertson Holden International Speedway. Asher Rees dominated the field with 102 points. Rookie Mick Davey was second on 100, and Zack Harris rounded out the podium in third place. Third Gav Tunny fell with the double rollover. The big talking point at the team's invasion was the under 23 Manawatu Miners defeating the Palmerston North Pumas 73 Mitchell Hill took the flag to end the Puma's phenomenal unbeaten run. The Manawatu Steelers, however, had other ideas about the miners and went about dissecting them in the final, with 557P Darryl Wallace making sure the Steelers took the trophy and remained 8 from 8 for the season. Nelson's Nick Fowler joined an elite group of drivers when he won his third South Island title at Woodford Glen Speedway in Christchurch. Fowler joins Nelson's Sam Woodford and Canterbury legend Gerald Griffiths as drivers who have taken a hat-trick off the title. Mitchell Hill proved to be the most consistent driver in a 35 car field when he won the 2013 Under-23 New Zealand Champs. Palmerston North drivers made sure it was the top 3, with Graham Peter in second, followed by Asher Rees, 2 last heat wins. It was a good result for Hill, who has been putting in a lot of hard work at the national titles around the country for his teammates. A 24-hour rain delay saw 24 Superstocks contesting the finals of the North Island Superstock Champs Ocean View Speedway in Wanganui. The tight Wanganui circuit always proving a handful for drivers and action-packed as always. It was a welcome sight to see Bob Smith return to the Superstock ranks, and quickly he was in the thick of it, as you can see. 32P Graham Barr became back-to-back North Island champion. Barr is now a 3-time North Island champion with his initial victory back in 1989. The podium was rounded out by Scott Joplin and brother Simon Joplin.
52P Scotty Joplin with the big Ford V8. Good to see Dale Robertson coming to grips with his new machine. He's hoping that he has a massive 2014 season.
Goodness gracious me, and he may well be in the record.
The New Zealand Stock Car Champs at Woodford Glen Speedway in Christchurch. Out of 131 drivers, this is what the final 30 looks like, and what an achievement in itself just to get that far. In the second tier championship, Rico Gray from Blenheim went about doing what he does best.
And it was 67W Kane Hargraves who won the Ampro Tools second tier championship.
This is it, folks. 30 Stockcars are starting this. The New Zealand title, heat number 1. Last of them out getting into back at ground 107, Colin Cameron, and the 94 car. He's got all the work to do, William Humphreys.
What a beautiful sight that is. Heat 1, 30 stock cars going at it. Absolute madness. And it's Rotorua's Scott Fredrickson who won the first heat, but sadly he had to retire due to engine problems that ruined his championship hopes. The top 7 on points going into the third and final heat. Damien Orr from Rotorua, Richard Gaskin, Wellington, Peter Rees, current 1NZ, Auckland is Bernie Fox and Scott Tennant, and Palmerston Youngbloods, Ike Hotapu and William Humphreys. So as Heat 3 got started, as you can imagine, all sorts of chaos was going on, as only stock cars can do best. First victim of the third heat was 2NZ Bernie Fox, who got driven in hard by Zack from Palmerston North. Josh Carhoy was doing his best to make sure Richard Gaskin got home, but this head-on collision into the wall by Mitchell Hill put an end to that. Damien Orr had a hard time getting home in the third heat with Vaughan Fairburn and also Ivan McPhail doing a number on him, making sure he wasn't going to take 1NZ for the next 12 months. It was a great drive from Damien Orr, who showed a lot of endurance, got himself home 2NZ. Rotorua will be very happy about that one. Young, hard-charging William Humphreys collected 3NZ. Great result for the young flyer from Palmerston North. Peter Rees continued to put his name into the record books, being New Zealand's first ever back-to-back New Zealand stock car champion, and that makes him a 5-time New Zealand champion. One legend.
We've got an interview coming up with the fastest Mary from Foxton, Jordan Dead. He's a fellow KB's Cowboys team member, also a fellow under 23s team member.
Kia ora Jordan, cheers for coming to Smack Talk. We've got a few questions from a few people tonight, but basically let's kick things off. How did you get started into racing?
Racing started for us in the 58p mini stock back in, must have been 2007. I'd done 3 years in the mini stock, youth mini stock classes. We went all over the country. We went up to Wairaka. We didn't go South Island with the mini stock, but yeah, it started off with a bang in the mini stocks, and we just keep progressing through the class until we needed a new challenge.
So how'd you find the stock car?
Stock cars was a big change from the mini stocks. Obviously getting used to the contact took a while, getting the confidence up, but once I had my confidence in the car, I think things moved pretty quickly in that, and we started doing well in the big meetings like the North Islands and the GP. I qualified for in my first season, and I got a name for myself at Wanganui at the New Zealand Champs.
How'd you get the name for yourself at the New Zealand Champs?
It's a big story, that one. Well, the first 2 heats I obviously didn't do too well. There was a lot of hype and I was hoping to do well, but I didn't. So my good mate Peter Rees was up on points, and I was the man for the job, so I had to take out a couple of Wellington cars, and I ended up taking out Scooter McIntosh, and Pete ended up winning the New Zealand title.
Now fast forward a couple of years, and it all came back to bite you in the ass. Do you want to fill us in on that, on what happened that weekend in Rotorua?
Yes, well, as you all know, karma's a very ugly thing, and as stock cars went, we're in Rotorua for the New Zealand title again 2 years later, and it turns out I qualified really well and won the first 2 finals heats of the New Zealand Champs, and old Scooter McIntosh wasn't doing so well that night, so it turned out he was turning right on me, and his mate Simon Hendry helped him out, and they stopped me 30 metres from winning the New Zealand title.
So would you consider that your bogey track?
Yeah, well, Rotorua, we haven't had much luck at it. The car always flies there, the stock car. But no, the first time I went there for the World of Stocks, I ended up in hospital. That was my first hospital trip from a speedway injury with broken ribs. So that wasn't too nice. That was a couple of nights in hospital, and then the year later we went back to the World of Stocks and ended up with another hospital trip with a punctured lung. So yeah, Rotorua hasn't been too kind to us in the stock car as yet.
So you got many rivals from over the years?
Close rivals? Yeah, well, as we race all over the country, we've got plenty of good mates in the sport, but I'd say the biggest rivals are probably the guys like Mark Costello and Damien Orr from Rotorua, and obviously everyone in Palmy's fast, so you know, wherever you go they're always going to be your closest competitors.
So they say at big championships it comes down to a teams race with local contracted drivers and out of town drivers. Do you consider that a positive or a negative, as such as there's so many Palmerston North drivers that can do so well? So do you find yourself on the receiving end of hits, or do you find that you're actually helping other drivers?
At the end of the day, I think that's what makes the sport. You know, everyone goes to watch that last heat where everyone teams up in their home tracks or with their mates. And yeah, well, racing for Palmerston is sometimes a bonus with having all those guys help you out, or you obviously have to help them out if they're up on points, but you know, that's what makes the sport what it is. So yeah, I think it's a big positive.
Not only have you teams race for the men or two minors under 23 team, you've teams race for the Steelers, you've also teams race for the Tysons Stockcar team in 2013. How'd you find that?
I've really loved my teams racing, and just really started to go into the swing of it this season. Racing for the KB Cowboys every year for the past 3 years. That's what really got me going. But that's more of a social trip. We go down there and race against Blenheim, and then we go to Christchurch to race both the teams. But yeah, that's where I've built from, and from going from those trips, obviously the Blenheim guys got to know me, and before the New Zealand title in Palmerston this year, they gave me a phone call. What are you doing? Are you in a team? And went from there.
So, going from the mini stock to the stock car, you've progressed to the Superstock now. How are you finding that?
It's a big leap from the stock car to the Superstocks. I haven't heard much from people that have gone from stock cars to Superstocks. They say they're cool to drive. But when I got in it for the first time last season in Palmerston, the final meeting, it was just, it was unreal, but you know, it's just completely different altogether. You're going 24/7 with your feet, your hands are going everywhere, but you know, once you get the hang of it, it's definitely good fun.
So you've been blessed enough to come under Wayne Hemmy's wing in the Red Rocket Motorsport team. How did you come into grips with him?
Well, Wayne's, ever since I got into stock cars, he's always sort of started talking to me and took an interest in me, and obviously when I done quite well at the New Zealand titles, he said to me, you know, I think you're going to go far, Jordan, we'll have to hook up, and he was going to sponsor my stock car for a season, and we were going to do it all red, but things didn't come to be, and we didn't pull through with it. But then after the New Zealand title in Rotorua, Wayne offered me a drive in Red Waka 2, and yeah, once I got that driving, I think he was quite impressed with how I went, and we were obviously really grateful, and he offered it for me for the season, for this season, and yeah, we've been racing it this whole season. Wayne's really looked after us with the car. Obviously they done the whole rebuild of the car in the off season to get it looking like the Vendetta car, and obviously it looks, you know, we think it looks awesome. So his crew, we really need to thank them, because they've done pretty much everything for us, and we just maintain the car throughout the season. You know, obviously Wayne's given us an $80,000 piece of, or $100,000 plus piece of machinery just to play with. So, you know, I owe him a huge thanks, and you know, we'll always be in his debt, but it's really given me a heads up on where I want to take my speedway career in the future.
Now, you've recently done under 25s in Miami. You did pretty well there. You've gone down to Wellington for a couple of meetings, done really well down there. So is there any plans next year? I mean, you've got New Zealand title for stock cars in Palmerston. Are you going to carry on for the stock car, do that next year, or do both, or focus on the Superstock now for a new challenge? What's the plan?
Well, yeah, the season's about to wrap up, and I've been putting pressure on my old man and the crew of what the plans are for next season, and we've been debating a lot. Obviously, we love stock car racing, and I don't think we'd ever, if we had the opportunity to race both cars full time, I think we definitely would, but at the moment it's probably not practical. So we want to do obviously with the New Zealand champs in Palmy, we want to have a crack at that. I've come pretty close a couple of times now, so we really want to have one last crack at it, with it being at the home track. So yep, you'll definitely see us there. I'm really grateful for, I wouldn't be racing without my old man, so yeah.
So So would you say he's the biggest influence in your racing career so far?
Definitely. I wouldn't be racing without the checkbook and without him. So I think there's a funny story. He drove the car because obviously I got into the mini stock, and my old man's still quite young and fit, so he could have obviously driven the stock car himself and kicked me out and said, you'll pit crew for me. But at the end of my first season, after that Wanganui New Zealand title, the last meeting in Palmy, I said to my old man, why don't you have a drive of the car? So he ended up getting in, and it turns out the Wellington boys turned up to the meeting, and funnily enough I forgot to tell them that it wasn't me in the car, and my old man went out and got a belting. So I think that sort of scared him away a bit, probably luckily for me, but definitely big thanks to him.
Lastly but not leastly, who are the guys you want to say thank you to, like sponsors, crew, etc.?
This season, obviously Wayne with the Master Blaster and the Red Waka Motorsport. They gave us this car, so that's our biggest sponsor. I think anyone would ever get a 100 grand sponsor. So big thanks to Wayne. Motex Motors, my old man's business, they look after most of the stock car, they get the tyres and everything for that, and Tanua Engineers has come on board with the steel work for the Superstock. They're doing all of that for free for us, and Geartech Automotive is doing the gearboxes on both cars. So they really look after us too, and Central Auto Parts, Palmerston, they hook us up with oil and that for the cars. But so you can't do it without those guys.
Well, cheers mate for taking the time out of your busy schedule to talk to the Smack Talk team.
Thanks, Huggies and KJ, been awesome. We've got the stock car here. It's still in its KB's Cowboys body from the weekend. We had a team race over in Wanganui where we took the win against the Vulcans. It's a Rissa chassis. Funnily enough, it's chassis number 58, which is, I think, is quite a lucky omen. The card number is 581, 58. We run the Ford motor. Just this season we've had KB Race Engines, who's obviously the captain of the KB Cowboys, come on board and sponsored us a motor. It's been going really well. And CSL's just given us a manifold and high-rise carburetor to trial for the remainder of the season, and it's been going really well too. So big thanks to those guys for helping us out and getting the stock car going that much faster as everyone is in Palmy this year.
Just a little bit about Harrisville Speedway itself. We're situated here at the moment. The Harris family, including Zack, has been kind enough and let us be privileged enough to actually film from inside their private museum, I guess, so to call it. The ultimate man cave for Speedway fans, awesome memorabilia and collectibles. It's been around for a while, Zack, but it hasn't actually been run as a proper meeting for a while. How come it took so long?
Well, I suppose it's just all been funding and getting the place up to standard to have the public walking through and getting the safety requirements up to scratch. But we're getting there, it's getting bigger and bigger every year, and no doubt there'll be big things to come.
So you guys run Wing Thunder. What number are you up to now?
This year we will be up to Wing Thunder 6, which is pretty remarkable really. We've had a few years where we've had rainouts or close calls, but we're getting there and hopefully we'll replace part for this one.
Now it's privately owned. You, your dad and your family own the place. So how do you guys find time? Because you all work full time. You've got to maintain a stock car as well. We all know what you're like on your vehicles. So how do you guys maintain the track? There must be a lot of time involved.
Yeah, well, there is. It's pretty much like a full-time job for the old man. Well, when he's not contracting, he's down at the track, fluffing around, doing upgrades down there, making the place look a lot better. But yeah, we've recently just added in the saloon, which is like our bar / club rooms, which is certainly getting a lot of good reports and keeping the public happy and keeping their throats wet.
Welcome back to Smack Talk.
Alright, now we got the quiz coming up. We didn't do the quiz on the last show, but we have one for you this month. And we've got some awesome prizes here thanks to Demon Energy as well as Chad Ace Motorsport. Huge thanks to those two teams and crews for putting that all together. We really appreciate it. Thanks so much. Now the first question we have for you this month is, what tracks have only hosted the New Zealand Superstock Champs once? Okay, now that goes all the way back to the late 60s, so make sure you do some homework and see what tracks have only hosted that once. The second question is, who was the first unofficial New Zealand stock car champion back in 1991? Now that will be standard stock cars. Okay, so what stock cars are today, who was the first ever unofficial champion back in 1991? And third and finally, we have, what stock car stirrer went by the nickname Two Bums? And as a bonus to that question is, what driver did he roll in the third heat of qualifying in the 2001 New Zealand Champs? So those answers will be revealed to you, but do some homework. What we're going to do is, whoever gets all three of those questions right, don't worry about the bonus, that's just a bit of fun. You will then go into the draw to win a Demon hat, Chair Days Motorsport shirt, and a case full of Demon, so you can drink those into the early hours of the morning. Alright, and we're going to do the draw, Lily, aren't we? Giving it a big shake up. See who's going to win the dirt track. Big thanks to Jeremy Savell once again for the dirt track magazine, and giving it a big shake. Alright, let's have a look. Who we got? Pull one out, put your hand right to the bottom, get one from the bottom. We got Clive Turner all the way from Auckland. Big shout out to you, mate. Used to race online with you back in the day, and many good memories over the years, good meetings that we've seen together. So got yourself a Dirt Track magazine, mate. Big shout out to your old man Len as well. So thanks so much everyone who participated and went into the draw for the Dirt Track magazine. We'll get that right out to you. It's our absolute pleasure to welcome back Nelson Hartley from the head shop and Hartley Race Engines. Now, he wasn't with us for episode 3, but most welcome return here for episode 3.5. He's got an awesome show today, shows us a bit of work on a CNC machine. As you can see, the trophy just down on the left of your screen there as well that he done for us, which is absolutely amazing. And he also sparks a bit of debate in regard to the injected manifolds and carburetors. So some interesting listening. Hope you enjoy it.
Oh, that's perfect. So this is an example of what the program is going to look like. It's basically just a whole lot of numbers, and there's heaps of them, so it's very hard to write by hand. Sometimes we do it manually, but typically we always use the computer. It's just a whole lot of numbers, and it's hopefully machine something the way we want it. So at the moment we're zeroing the machine. We're telling the machine where the part is. A lot of people are always asking me, how does the machine know where the part is? So right now I've got this touch probe here, which I'm going to touch on the side of the job, and then I tell the machine that that's 0, and then we can go and machine away. Hey Nelson, welcome to Smack Talk. There's been a bit of controversy about the new ruling of being allowed to run injected manifolds. What are your thoughts, and what are the pros and cons about either of them?
Well, the good thing with an injection manifold, this is a great idea for Speedway. Of all the motors that have been used, the Holden and the Ford, the 6-cylinder, are the most popular. Neither of those motors come out with carburetors, so to run a carburetor you've got to take the manifold, modify it, machine some parts, buy a carburetor. In which case, like, we're making carburetors, and like, we're going to a lot of effort to get as much power out of the carburetors as possible. They're getting heinously expensive. That's ridiculous. I feel kind of guilty for making carburetors. Like, we've made more power, that's what our customers want, but I just don't think it's right for a stock car category, which is meant to be a budget version of the Superstock category. So injection's a much better option. The engine comes with injection on it. We've got one sitting here, which is a Ford 6, which we did as a trial motor last year. Ran really well. It did maybe 2 or 3 meetings. We were only allowed to do it at the end of the season, and so it used standard manifold, standard throttle body, we put a restrictor plate in it, so it's only allowed the same amount of air to go through as the carburetor. A very, very cheap computer, the same computer that's running most people's carburetors, a little add-on for which is like $300 or something to run the injection, and just a little bit more wiring. And like if you're building an engine from scratch, you had nothing, it's probably like $1,000 to $1,500 cheaper to put injection on it. It's going to make roughly the same amount of horsepower, but it's going to have a little bit more torque at the bottom, and it's going to probably hold on for longer, just because with a carburetor it's all done mechanically and you can't really control the fuel as nicely. So with an injection, because it can only get the same amount of air going through the motor, it can only make the same amount of energy, but it can do it just a little bit better at all the other ranges. So every time you press the start button, the engine's going to fire up. You're not going to have to worry about it stalling all the time. When you crash and the engine stops, the fuel pump stops. So safety is a big thing. With the carburetors, the cars go upside down all the time, as we see with stock cars. And fuel runs out of them. They hold fuel in the bowl, and the fuel pump's normally separate from the ignition, so they just keep pumping fuel out. The floats go open and then just fuel goes everywhere, and that's how we start fires. With injection, that's so much safer. There's you've got high pressure lines, you've got which is good quality lines, which are the rules that everyone has to run, and then because the ECU is controlling whether when the fuel pump's on, it turns off as soon as the engine stalls. There's nothing holding fuel at the top, so when you go upside down, the fuel doesn't leak everywhere. You don't have to worry about if you spin up and run backwards about sucking a whole lot of fuel through the motor and then it not starting. Like, it's going to be so much safer if you crash a car and you need to get out of the way. The engine's going to start every time. You're not going to have to worry about the carburetor flooding it. It really is a better idea, and it's so much cheaper and so much fairer. There's going to be less opportunities to cheat with injection, and I think that's the beauty of it. For people at the moment with a Ford 6 that are running sort of towards the back of the field, that can't afford to build a $15,000 or $20,000 motor, their engine is instantly going to be more competitive if they build it with injection, which it comes with standard when they get it from the wreckers. And that is the idea behind stock cars, is that you're using a motor that's based around a production engine. So that engine that they build from standard, with the standard injection on it, is going to make far more performance than that same engine with an older style manifold that they've had to modify and possibly done a poor job of if the budget's not there, with a really crappy carburetor if you've also got no budget. You're going to spend less doing the injection and have more performance. So I think it's going to close the gap from the front to the rear of the field. People like Peter Rissa are still going to win a lot of races regardless of whether he's got injection or carburetor, but the people that are maybe running towards the back that don't quite have the performance are definitely going to see gains, and I think that's the beauty of it, because it's got to be fair for everyone. Money shouldn't buy you too much more performance than everyone else, and the injection is going to be so much better for it. Like, it's so much simpler as well.
So all you kids, draw us a picture of your favourite driver.
That's right, Lilia, and every kid that does draw us an awesome stock car picture of their favourite driver will go into the draw to win this size 8 kids Chad Ace Motorsport t-shirt, and you know you'll be the coolest kid in town with a t-shirt like that, so get your kids drawing and send it in to us.
I've got one of these t-shirts.
The business end of the season, January, New Zealand's favourite month of any year. This is when our Christmas kicks in. Right now you can see the 26 finalists for the New Zealand Superstock title that was contested at Palmerston Speedway this year. What an absolute sight seeing all those V8s lined up next to each other. 85N, Dale McKenzie, and 19 from Christchurch, Malcolm Natai, made the best of good things to go through from the repechage into the final 26. Nothing gets that adrenaline going like the first heat of the finals. 26 Superstocks going at it for that chance to get that 1NZ on the side of their car. Bryce Steiner was the first to have his championship chances ruined when he got put high and dry up in the tight squeeze on that first lap. Steve Jude got caught up in that also. Things were pretty frantic in the opening heat. Here's Shane Mousop and Harwood going around as well. Nelson's Nick Fowler made the best possible start, winning the first heat and setting himself up good for the finals. The start of heat 3, Fowler was leading points and looking good to win the New Zealand title at his home track. Unfortunately for him, few incidents seen him pick up a bit of damage, and on top of that, he had to withstand an onslaught from Heat 3 enforcer Simon Joblin. Shane Penn became the third driver to get himself a major Grand Slam, winning every major individual title. When he won the New Zealand Champs, he picked up 64 points, 1 point ahead of young driver Dale McKenzie, who was 2 points ahead of Thomas Stanley, the young Nelson drivers, bringing it home for their city. Malcolm Nato was fourth on 59 points. Scott Jobling rounding out the top 5 with 54. 7 days is a short amount of time. But tell that to the Joblins. Adam Joblin unfortunately blew his motor at the New Zealand champs in Nelson during qualifying. Thanks to friends, they got his engines Palmerston North and back to the South Island in time for the New Zealand Grand Prix. He then proceeded to go and win that event and join his father and his brothers in the record box of picking up a major individual title. He was followed home by Scott Hughes from Rotorua and Palmerston North's Shane Penn continuing a great run. Straight into the hard stuff, it was the New Zealand Stock Car Teams Championship in Palmerston North. Pumas in the Alley Cats semi-final. Josh Prentice went over early and the Alley Cats were looking good. All they needed to do was stop Peter Rees, who was embarking on one of his familiar drives of his life. Only needed to be stopped. The Alley Cats could not quite do that. Rees just proved too strong. Semi-final between the Eastern States Titans and the Wanganui Vulcans. Saw the Titans picking up a 1-2 lead early on, also dispatching a Francis Potaka high and dry into the fence. The tide turned when Hilton Parker rolled Sam Thompson in spectacular fashion into the pit gate corner. Leah Lockett took the lead until Rico Gray tipped him over onto his roof. Second place Ralph Gillespie, who's going to inherit the lead, pulled off on that same red light. Only 3 cars for Blenheim. Gavin Marshall with front end damage got home after plenty more attention from the Vulcans. Rico Gray playing up for the crowd, very reminiscent of that legend Barry Hunter. Gisborne Gladiators got back into the top 4 at the New Zealand Stock Car Teams Champs, having to go in this 2-car runoff against the Wellington Wildcats as they were tied on points. Ian Barron did just enough to get them home, despite plenty of attention from Scooter McIntosh. Great result for Gisborne, good to see them back in the top 4. In the end, it was the Palmerston North Pumas who won over the Eastern States Titans, claiming themselves a three-peat for the Stockcar Teams Championship. Shane Penn became a 2-time World 240 Invitation champion when he took victory at Paradise Valley Speedway. The night started off in the ref charge with Sharky Pearson leading start to finish to take a spot in the final 26. After the traditional silence through the valley, followed by Gentlemen Start Your Engines, Heat 1 was underway. Frankie Wayman Jr., the 3-time 240 champs, title hopes were dashed on lap 1. Phil Ogle was the big mover, moving 12 places to take Heat 1. Bryce Steiny was up on points, going into the 3rd heat, doing his best to try and bring that title home for Rotorua. He suffered an onslaught from the men of Simon Joblin and Scott Myers, or Kerry Humphrey put in the killer shot. Rounding out the podium was the hard-working Phil Ogle and Shane Harwood. Penn's win sees him represent New Zealand at the Brisker Formula 1 Stock Car World Final in Kingsland in the United Kingdom. The big one, the Superstock Teams champs. Hawke's Bay Hawkeyes were undefeated all weekend, only managed 5th spot. Perhaps that format needs a bit of a tweak. Great Britain gave Palmerston North Panthers everything they had, putting in some massive hits against the Panthers. The Panthers done the business. In the other major semi-final, it was a big match-up between the young Manawatu Mustangs and the recently reformed Bay Park Busters. And the Busters did everything they could to try and bring this home for their fans, and it was the young drivers, in particular Jack Myers and Asher Reed, who got them home. Rees only needed to be halted for a moment. The Busters would have got that car into 1st place. However, Asher just kept his foot down Got that flag taking the Mustangs into the final. The race was dubbed a family affair. Fathers, sons, brothers, all taking part in this one here between the Reeds, the Myers and the Joblins. Now despite it being a close-knit final, the drivers put everything on the line. They went out there, the Mustangs did everything they could to try and stop the powerful Palmerston North Panthers. However, on this day, experience proved the key ingredient and the Panthers brought it home. Panthers once again proving they are the best team in New Zealand with their 7th title in 8 years. Auckland's Waikaraka Park to see what was one of the most ruthless meetings of the year, the 2013 North Island champs. In the end it was 95R Dale Stewart who won the North Island title with 76 points, 510P Jay Knight 75 points in second place, 33S Tyler Walker, a great result for him, 74 points, followed home by Rotorua's Michael Migrumney with 73 points. Superstocks lined up for the Global Challenge in Palmerston North, including Great Britain legend John Lund. There's a lot of action early on the fast Palmerston North Oval. Thomas Stanaway was the first casualty of the night, tumbling into this barrel roll, going over the top of tanker Kevin Roberts.
Number 2, and it's New Zealand's new motorsport only magazine. So,
first heat of the finals, Kirk had a wild ride in his tank with Scott Hughes climbing up all over him. Simon Joplin was the clear victor on 95 points in the end. Shane Penn got second place on 90, continuing his great season. Kerry Humphrey on 87 points, Shane Harwood 1 point back, just missing out on the podium with 86 points. The legend from Wanganui, Dion Mooney, set some kind of record in the 50 years of Stockcars, rolling 4 cars in one race. He took care of Asher Rees, Aaron Ironmonger, Graham Ward, Short Palmer. Peter Rees took the win for the 50 years of Stockcars Championship. He was followed home by Stu Rackham and Gavin Tunifar. What better way to tell you what happened in the South Island this year than doing a lap with Wrecker Rico Green. Dale Jr. led the Tigers to the McCall Trophy and a win over Christchurch. He won from start to finish thanks to the great blocking from Harwood, Nichols and Cunningham. William Humphrey, fresh from his 3NZ, became New Zealand Grand Prix champion over in Greymouth. The new South Island champ belonged to Nelson Speed star Cody Teese, followed by Gillespie and Goulding. Blenheim recorded a clean sweep at Stockshock and Nelson. 28E Ralph Gillespie, Steve Badulf, Brent Goulding were your top 3. And in the South Island Stock Car Teams title, it was the Eastern States Titans that came out on top, Tasman Thunder in second, and the Canterbury Crushers in third. Former New Zealand champ Keith Spanek put himself back at the top of Stock Cars with a victory at the Tough War of Stocks meeting. He won by 7 points over 1NZ Peter Rees and 2NZ Damien Orr. Jaden Ward, racing as 971R, looked certain to win the event until Rotorua drivers put in some big shots on him, causing a DNF in the final. Superstock Teams Nationals, it was the Bay Park Busters who looked good early with a victory over the Palmerston North Panthers. However, come semi-final time, the Busters couldn't quite put it together. The Panthers once again proving that they are here and not to be messed with. Scott Myers was in ruthless form, smashing any Pollock Crane's coloured car in his car. In the other semi-final was the experienced Nelson Tigers and the red hot Manawatu Mustangs. Jared Gray absolutely pole driving Simon Joblin into the wall, rolling him for the second time that weekend. What a huge effort from the Nelson mongrel. The Nelson Tigers proving once again why they hold the number 2 ranking in New Zealand Teams Champs. Showing absolute class to hold these Manawatu Mustangs, bring them back down to earth. However, it seemed that Nelson Tigers played all their cards in the semi-final, and it was the Palmerston Panthers that proved too strong in the end, taking out the Auckland Teams Nationals once again. For the annual Battle of the Stocks at Woodford Glen Speedway in Christchurch, the weekend belonged to 11A Gary Ellis for 20 years of attending that meeting. He's an absolute legend to the sport, and we wish him well for the future. It was Simon Joblin and Ngātai who won the Best Pairs competition, 268 points. In the individual stakes it was Shane Harwood with 179, Simon Joblin with 175, and Phil Ogle gets another top 3 this year with 172. What an awesome way to cap off the season. Speedfest and Huntly where the best of the best get together, and it was great to see Tony Wu-Tang Wooden taking out 1NZ Shane Penn to make sure that his golden season came to a screaming halt. David Ellsworth won the best of the best. Ross Ashby, the super tanker driver, in second. After a brutal runoff, it was Shane Harwood who collected third place over his teammate Thomas Stanaway. And Peter Rees was the winner of the Stockcars Best of the Best.
Actually, now we've got a couple of questions for Zack. You and your dad have been around Harrisville for quite a while, but you guys haven't actually been a Speedway New Zealand track before. Is there any thought about trying to become a Speedway New Zealand track?
No, we don't want to compete against Palmy. We want to sort of work in with Palmy and have it like a Thursday night practice track so the guys can come out here and not have problems with their cars and get them right for Saturday. Well, we're working quite well with Palmy. Palmy works them well for us. They help us out a lot with our race meetings, and we'd like to keep it that way. Like, there's no point in going against them. But yeah, no, they're good guys to work with, Bruce and Park and all the team out there. So yeah, but Harrisville's more of a sort of a Sunday show, Thursday night, get together, have a few laughs, you know what I mean? Test out the cars, give other guys a drive, and with the odd major meeting in there, with the hot rod day that they have out here, which has been pretty good. They build up rat rods with 350 shed motors, likes of that, with old dirt wagons, and go there and cause havoc out on the track. Then we've got the Legends Day, which is the fundraiser for the guys going overseas, and then we've got our major meeting, which is Wing Thunder 5, which is mainly for sprint cars. And out here, there's no pipes, so anything goes, man. No matter how loud the car is, bring it on.
So what are some of the bigger things to come? I mean, obviously you're doing meetings, are those annual meetings?
Yeah, well, definitely Harrisville Wing Thunder 5. Well, Wing Thunder in general will be an annual meeting, getting bigger and bigger every year, more and more cars, better and better drivers. We introduced Superstocks into the mix this year, whereas before we've always had mini sprints, the likes of that, but sort of thought, we'll mix it up a bit and get Superstocks in there. I actually threw a set of Hughes on my car and ran my standard stock into the Hughes, which was a bit of a laugh. Didn't go too well, we had a few issues that day too, but well, that's life, we carry on. We had Benji Sneddon out here with his car with Hughes on it, and we had Josh Prentice, his car with Hughes on it. I think there may have been a couple more too with Hughes on them that actually out there and went bloody well.
Up next we've got Legends Day from Harrisville Speedway, where we're situated now. State Highway 1 between Sanson and Bulls. It's actually pretty close to the Palmerston North Speedway, about 20 minutes, 25 minutes drive. At the meeting they had a rundown of pretty much most classes. They also had a teams race between the former Palmerston North Panthers and the New Zealand All Stars.
59 Peter George, 51 Hannah.
Back in your own car, just feeling out there.
Yeah, we're not back in the field. Back in the
Good to be back up against some old mates here in the Panthers.
Yeah, there's a few over there, isn't there?
Awesome. Have fun. And we've got a ring in for the Whangadoo team. We've got Jack here in a stand stop. Jack, you're in a stand stop. That's a bit unfair, isn't it?
Yeah, it's not fair. Don't be just not fair here. So I'm going to put out this one.
There we are. Actually, we're running it up here fairly fine.
Thanks for joining us for episode 3.5. It's been a pleasure to have you along once again. I just want to give a shout out to all of our friends that we have here. The list seems to get bigger every week, so I sincerely hope that I haven't missed anyone off this list. But first and foremost, thanks to Hughes for helping me out as usual. Also Zack Harris and his family for letting us go out to Harrisville and do 3.5 from out there. We've got the team, Aaron, Wall, Jamie, Mental, Rissa and Caden, Royden and Nelson Hartley as well, and also Craig B for doing our website. Make sure you check that website out. We're very grateful to all of you guys, as well as Paul Kirk, Lindsay Benbrook from Magic Video Productions for the awesome footage that you supply, and Jordan Dare as well with the Mad Tongue Pope mullet, and also GH from Sportsweb Photography, Brendan Learmonth as well from Square Photography. Really appreciate it. Pete goes Slideways as well, does some awesome photos from outside the track and also inside Harrisville. Stockcar magazine in UK, and last but not least, I'd like to give a huge shout out to Demon as well for coming on board. Dealt with them in the past, and they've always been only too happy to support a good cause. So thanks so much for that. Again, if there's anyone I missed, we love you, and make sure you stick around for episode 4, which is coming to you from Rotorua, and we had a great time up in Rotorua, so make sure you hang around for that one. It's going to be great.
Thanks for watching, so we might see you next week.
Good on you, Lily.
Place to 55, Craig Finnegan in third, 84, Tom Harris. Junior 5 is a major loser in that one. And the bumpers are going in and he's made. Oh, look at that, over! Double Williams made over going wave yellows. Leaders Dan Johnson is on his roof. Nick Sauter involved, Mark Elbank likewise. Carl Smith was involved from a previous incident. Other wave yellows have come out. Spiker in H231. Close the head down the far side. It's 457, 388, 502. Craven and Russell Kirk there caught up on the home straight as they're heading to turns 1 and 2. And both end up going into a spin as the hooks up together. Other side, Paul Ford can be man to take the lead. Then the Russell on the one grand final. Smoke coming out of the back of the Nigel Wally car. In the meantime, we've got a new leader. Couple more in total there. Paul Ford in 388. Paul Craig Finnegan in 55 and John Bond in 53. Dan Johnson landed his rear brake. The next race will follow on Grand National. Ages with Dylan Williams. Maynard also looks like Hans